Every Sunday at dusk, Winston returned to the same spot by the rusted tracks, watching, waiting, for what? No one knew. His golden fur, greyed at the muzzle, glinted in the fading light as he settled among the weeds cutting through Willow Creek's outskirts, ears perked, eyes locked on the horizon where the rails vanished into shadow. The townsfolk knew the sight. An old retriever poised alone, his tail still, his gaze unwavering. They'd murmur over coffee at Miller's Diner. Poor things pining for old man Hargrove, dead 6 years now. Winston's ritual was a quiet legend, a sad echo of loyalty in a town sinking under time's slow grind. But on March 23rd, 2025, Clara Henshaw, 34 and restless, watched him from her pickup, parked on the gravel shoulder. She'd moved back to Willow Creek a year ago, fleeing a charred life in Nashville. Her music career a heap of ash after a cheating ex and a string of flops. She'd grown up here, bolted at 18, swore she'd never return. Yet here she was, hauling lumber at the feed store, her guitar gathering dust, her dreams buried under sawdust and regret. Winston, though, stirred something, a pull she couldn't name. 20 years ago, Clara's world tilted when her brother, Jamie, vanished at 7. She'd been 14, babysitting him that sticky July evening by the creek, skipping stones, his laugh bright as the fireflies blinking in the dusk. She turned to grab a soda from her bag. 10 seconds, maybe less. When she looked back, he was gone. No splash, no cry, just silence and the ripple of water over smooth rocks. The town searched for weeks. Divers combed the creek. Dogs swept the woods. Her parents' pleas crackled on the news. Nothing. No trace. Just a void that swallowed her family whole. Her dad drank himself quiet. Bottles piling in the shed. Her mom prayed till her knees bruised the hardwood, and Clara ran, chasing music to outpace the guilt clawing her chest. Now, back in Willow Creek, the past clung like damp rot in the walls of her childhood home. She'd inherited Winston from Hargrove, her late uncle, a gruff loner who'd taken her in after her parents faded into their grief. "He's yours now," his will had read, scrawled in shaky ink. She'd found Winston at the shelter once, a pup then, abandoned by the tracks, whining, till Hargrove scooped him up, muttering, "You're too good for this dump." Clara had balked. Could she handle a dog with her own life a wreck? But Winston's steady gaze won her over, a mirror to the resolve she'd buried deep. Winston was her anchor now. Mornings, he'd nudge her slippers over, tail thumping slow on the creaky floor. Evenings, he'd flop by her porch, ears twitching as she strummed old chords, her voice rusty but alive, the notes trembling in the humid air. That Sunday, the sky bruised purple over the pines, the air thick with rain's promise. Clara watched Winston settle by the tracks, his routine etched in her mind. Arrive at 6, sit till 7, then trudge home through the dust. She'd joined him lately, parked nearby, sipping coffee from a thermos, wondering what he saw in the empty rails. "You miss him, huh?" she'd murmur. But Winston's eyes stayed fixed, not mournful, alert, like a sentinel guarding something unseen. That night, something shifted. He stood, nose twitching, then pawed the gravel, a low whine rising from his throat. Clara frowned, stepping out, her boots crunching on the loose stones. "What's up, boy?" He bolted down the embankment, weaving through brambles, barking sharp and wild, a sound that jolted her spine. Her pulse quickened. She scrambled after, thorns snagging her jeans, her breath ragged in the still air. The tracks stretched into shadow, rusted rails swallowed by weeds, a relic of lumber trains gone decades back when Willow Creek thrived. Winston stopped at a splintered tie, sniffing hard, then dug, claws churning dirt. his grey muzzle streaked with soil. Clara caught up, breathless, kneeling beside him. "Easy, Win," she said, but her eyes snagged on something, a glint in the earth. She brushed it away. A tarnished metal car, toy-sized, its red paint chipped, wheels bent. Her hands froze. The world dimmed around her. That car, it wasn't just any toy. It was Jamie's. The one he'd dropped in a puddle by the creek. The one she'd painted red again with her nail polish, her fingers sticky as he giggled. She dropped to her knees. "No," she whispered, voice cracking. "Please no." Winston whined, nosing deeper, unearthing a shred of fabric, faded blue, stiff with age. Clara's stomach lurched. A memory flashed. Jamie in his blue jacket, racing her to the creek, his giggles trailing behind. She pulled her phone, flashlight beam shaky in her trembling grip. More scraps, a shoelace, a button, all half buried, a trail leading into the undergrowth. Winston tugged her sleeve, barking, eyes pleading. She'd run from this town once, left the questions to rot in the Tennessee clay. Not now. "Okay, bud," she said, voice firm, wiping her eyes. "Let's see." She called Sheriff Tate, her voice tight over the crackling line. "Found stuff by the tracks. Winston led me. Looks old. Maybe Jamie's." Tate, gruff and graying, sighed through the receiver. "Clara, it's been 20 years. Could be junk." She stared at the phone, her hand trembling. "Please," she whispered, her throat raw. "Don't make me say it twice." Then she hung up, her thumb smudging the screen, her breath hitching as the call cut. Winston wouldn't settle that night, pacing her porch, circling back to whine at the door, a tick from his puppy days when storms spooked him, his paws tapping the warped boards. She couldn't sleep either. The toy car on her kitchen table, its dents staring back like accusing eyes. She tried forgetting Jamie, drowned him in gigs and whiskey, late nights in smoky bars where the crowd's cheers couldn't fill the hole. But he lingered, a ghost in every chord she played, every lyric she scratched out. At 14, she'd blamed herself. 10 seconds too long. Her fault he'd slipped away into the dusk. Winston's whine cut through the silence. By dawn, she grabbed his leash, her hands still shaking. "Show me again." Tate arrived at the tracks, boots heavy on the gravel, deputy in tow, a lanky kid chewing gum. Winston led them back, digging anew, unearthing more, a rusted harmonica. Jamie's, she'd taught him, "Oh, Susanna," that summer, his small fingers fumbling the notes. Tate frowned, bagging it in plastic. Could be his, could be anyone's. Clara's jaw tightened, her voice rising over the wind. "Maybe you all forgot Jamie. Maybe the case went cold. But this dog never did. He remembered for all of us." The deputy snorted, popping his gum. "Your dog's a detective now." Winston growled low, circling a rotted stump, then barked at a hollow beneath. Claw marks faint in the wood, weathered but deliberate. Clara knelt, flashlight piercing the dark, a child's sneaker, laces frayed, sole split, red canvas faded, but unmistakable. Her chest seized. Jamie's size, his favorite kicks, the ones he'd scuffed chasing her through the grass. "That's his," she said, voice breaking, tears blurring the beam. Tate's skepticism wavered. He radioed for forensics, his tone clipped. Winston sat guard, eyes darting to the trees. A rustle fading, leaves shifting, or something more. A shadow slipping behind the pines. Back home, Clara couldn't shake it. She brewed coffee, hands shaky, the pot rattling against the counter, replaying that July night. She'd yelled at Jamie to stay close, turned away, lost him to the fireflies and the creek's murmur. Winston paced, whining, nudging her toward the door with his wet nose. She'd moved back to face this town, not flee it again. By noon, Tate called, his voice heavy. Sneakers old, DNA's a long shot, but we're digging. Found bones nearby, small. Could be animal, could be... He trailed off. Clara's knees buckled. She sank to the floor. Winston pressed against her, steady as ever, his fur warm against her trembling hands. She'd lost Hargrove to a stroke, her parents to grief, herself to Nashville's grind. Nights staring at pill bottles till Winston's head on her lap pulled her back. Now he'd led her here. "You knew, didn't you?" she murmured, stroking his ears. Forensics swarmed the tracks, tape fluttering in the breeze, the town whispering over fences and diner booths. Clara sat with Winston as Tate briefed her, his hat in hand. Bones are human, a kid. Been there decades. Skull cracked. Looks deliberate. Her throat closed, Jamie. Tate softened, his gruff edges fraying. "We're testing Clara, might be him." A week later, DNA confirmed it. Jamie Henshaw, dead at 7, buried shallow by the rails, a blunt blow ending his run. Clara collapsed to the porch floor, her fists in Winston's fur, not crying but howling, the way only someone who waited too long ever could. Her voice tearing through the quiet, raw and unfiltered. Tate dug deeper. Old reports surfaced. A drifter seen that summer, lean and quiet, vanishing by fall. Case cold, but reopened. That rustle, those claw marks, a shadow in her mind. Someone had watched, taken him, left him by the tracks. Someone knew, she whispered, Winston's eyes meeting hers. Months on, Winston wore a therapy tag, a golden blur at Willow Creek school and shelter. He'd sit with a girl who'd lost her dad, now smiling as she traced his fur, or let a boy with a stutter pet him till words flowed, soft and sure. Clara taught music again, kids strumming Jamie's old tunes on borrowed guitars, her voice steady, the notes carrying over the playground. The Gazette ran it. Retriever's Vigil solves 20-year mystery. Strangers left flowers by the tracks. A plaque rose. For Jamie, found by Winston. One dusk, Clara sat by the rails, Winston beside her, his grey muzzle resting on her knee. Beside the plaque, someone had placed a harmonica, its tarnished metal glinting in the fading light. The wind picked up, and just for a second it sang, not a song, a memory. Oh, Susanna, faint and fleeting, echoing in her bones. As the sun dipped below the tree line, Savanoy struck. Winston stood, turned toward the trees, and exhaled, a soft huff in the stillness. For the first time in 20 years, he didn't sit back down. His grey eyes caught the sunset, glinting fierce and true. Not just a dog, a keeper of lost things. "You didn't wait for Hargrove, did you?" she whispered, her voice soft in the stillness. "You waited for him." Winston huffed, steady, his warmth grounding her. "Where to next, old man?" From a lost brother to a town's closure, Winston had led her home. So, viewers, picture this. A dog waits by the tracks and unearths a miracle. What if your pet remembered something the whole town forgot? Tell us below. We're hooked. If Winston's tale lit you up, smash that like, subscribe, and catch our next furry legend now.